It is March 31st in the year 2018. This is a Saturday morning podcast. I'm Alex Ansary. Thank you for listening. So I just want to cover maybe a few different things without sticking on one particular topic. But writing helps process pretty heavy stuff that we've gone through. Know what your truth is. So what is your truth? Do you feel that you need to be listening to a particular YouTuber or going to a particular website to getting the truth? Is the truth just what's going on with someone's corruption in politics? What about your spiritual truth? How is someone woke if they're just pointing their finger? Most especially if they're pointing their finger at the person that someone in the media is telling you to point your finger at. How is that even close to the definition of being awake? What does being awake actually mean to you on a spiritual level that goes beyond the illusions of separation and tribalism, which includes political infighting, which includes, and of course you have different political groups that will fight in different countries that aren't called Democrats or Republicans, or different ethnic lines in the Middle East. For example, we had, I believe, also some fighting between two Middle Eastern groups in Germany armed with machetes and other things. We can also see people fighting here in the United States. We could see an ongoing white civil war, people calling for the other political group to be put into a camp, from punch-a-Nazi to, on the other side, libtard should be put into camps. How is the rhetoric different? Especially when you see, well, if they say it, well, it makes it right for us to say it. Are we or are we not in a collective mental hospital that is actually called planet Earth? So it's a planetary prison. We're in these android-like bodies, which may have been cloned for something thousands of years ago, with senses, but if we share some of our senses or ideas with other humans that aren't at that level, we will find ourselves under attack. This is the way of the earthling. This is the way of the imprisoned soul on the prison planet. This is prison behavior. Other forms of prison behavior may come from those that are close to us, not those that would come to rape us in the shower with their gang of 5 or 10, or knock us out and then rape us, but rather those that would say, we expect you to act courageous at all times and never share your fears. Otherwise, after 5 or 6 years, we will throw you under the bus and call you crazy. We will gaslight you, Alex Ansary. We will gaslight. After listening for multiple years, when we feel activated by the system to punish you for sharing your feelings, we will gaslight and we will keep coming back and back and back until you stop sharing what it is that you're sharing with us. Just show us courage, Alex. Tell us we're winning. Tell us there will be no World War III. Tell us there will be no false flag events blamed on Muslims. Tell us that we're in the collective shift in consciousness. Tell us that we're winning. And we will take you to the top, Alex Ansary. 500 Patreons. 1,000 Patreons. And I watch others that do that stay within a niche, that don't say controversial things, that I believe are actually lying to their audiences, by the way, on YouTube, or even giving them information that isn't actually fully sound. But when you figure that out, and a lot of men go in that direction in the media, and when you're on YouTube, you're basically working for yourself, whether or not someone officially interviewed you or not. If your income is coming from what you are creating that people are watching on a medium that's being monetized, like it or not, it's people working for themselves. It's free market. Whether someone likes to watch someone that looks or sounds a particular way and chooses to turn away from someone else. I may not like that. I may have been here 14 years. I may think my information is more truthful than AMTV or InfoWars to a certain degree, but I cannot even come close to those numbers. So I'm on a different level. What I'm about is about me. There's no need to sell myself. I am who I am. This is a little bit late to start tailoring my message to a particular niche, or just sticking on solar flares, or just sticking with relationships, or just sticking with off-grid videos. Now, if I was to do that, certain audience members would go away, but then 100, 1,000, 10,000 would follow. But my soul does not feel fed just limiting myself to one topic. My soul feels a need to share a geopolitical perspective, my off-grid journey, my spiritual ideas, And in some cases, I'll share with you unique things about myself in a world where I feel that my body is demonized. And some of you feel the same way for your own reasons. Maybe that's the devil's biggest trick, is to run multiple programs where everybody would be demonized, but no one would question the Gnostic truths. The reality of our lives, the archonic agenda, the Gnostic teachings, these things that are within us, this battle of good and evil. The devil's biggest trick, the Archon's biggest trick, convincing us that it doesn't exist, that it isn't turning us against each other, but it is. I have never seen more evidence in my life. We talk about some of these events that are happening, and people are looking, oh, they're mentally ill, or they're this. There's something else going on with them. And this is continuing. There's something going on with people that are addicted to technology and comment sections, where people are seeing the opposite of what is true. The actual opposite. Gaslighting, accusing someone of something that they're not, as a way of life, as a spiritual practice. That's not a spiritual practice. That's prisoner behavior. And as I said, prisoner behavior can come from a supporter. As we look at the prison metaphor, if the prison leader or someone that someone is following shows what they perceive to be fear, that is perceived to be weakness in the prison. And so some, when they smell fear or they see fear from myself or others, that is a cue to exploit that person. That is a cue to pull out the emotional shank at that moment in which they are hurting. That is prisoner behavior. But people that aren't in the prison on a physical level may be acting just like that. They may actually join those that are doing the attacking, because it may truly be in that human's nature to hurt those that are suffering, not to help those that are suffering. So it becomes a split in the road where over the last few years I've seen what people are made of. Okay. I've also realized that I'm being tested. And that if you can imagine a wheel going in one direction, before that wheel starts going in the other direction, it has to come to a stop. And so what's been happening in my personal life the last few years is watching my real life physical associations with actual men evaporate one by one to where there's no man standing left in my corner. You are there in spirit, and you are on the internet. That is a digital connection. And as real as that is, and as much as I support that, which is better than nothing, and appreciate your support is what I meant to say. And when your support is also in the form of other ways, like sharing my videos or leaving something supportive, or when it's criticism, it's constructive criticism. It isn't just there to pull out that emotional shank when you find something that you don't like. Oh, so there's 100 videos that you can't see something positive in? And then you start to notice that that behavior is changing in human beings when they only comment on the negative. And we can see this on other people's channels across the board. I learned a lot about human psychology by studying Facebook, how people comment, what they comment on, and how they treat the viewer in the YouTube video. And there's a lot of information you can data collect as a sentient being about the nature of consciousness and intuition by studying the YouTube comment section. And you can literally just, and there's months and months and months of analysis on where people are at. The depth of the response, the depth of the color of the response. You know, how extreme is the broken English and the misspellings? Are the sentences even complete? How is this woke? What is happening to the species? I was watching another video where it was Joe Rogan highlighting just what he's seen from people on cell phones. And he sees it as a stepping stone to the implant or something else. And plus, you can implant people with core images and ideas that are not their own, thoughts that are not their own, in order to control their behavior without implanting them with a microchip. Just control what they see on Facebook and make Facebook addictive. And there could be all this information coming out telling people Facebook is not what you think. Facebook has been collecting your data, and they even did it for Obama. And people are like, yeah, so what? Fake news. What do you mean, yeah, so what? That's actually a really big revelation. That one of the biggest websites in history, right, that probably is sharing that data with foreign governments, has not only been collecting your private messages, but also who you've been calling, your cell phone record. Of course, they've been using particular apps, as well as recording the ambiance going on in the background. Why are we not having serious discussions about this? It's because mankind is suffering at this time. Mankind from the left and the right is being led to the Pied Pipers of the world, the deceivers. It's in their biological code. Most humans, all racial groups, and perceptions of ethnicity included, follow the leader. And every group will have its spiritual ones that are less than the 1%, that will perceive things outside the box of the norm. Okay? And every group, from Islamic societies to elements of Christian societies, and I think there's a thing as real Christians as opposed to the ones that are calling themselves Christians, but are more on the satanic blood ritual sacrifice end of things. This would be like the military side and people mixing military foreign policy with Christianity, which is still going on today. People playing up like this ancient third world Christian versus Islamic worldview when it's being manufactured by the very elite that control things like immigration, that fund things like radical Islam. And yet they may be listening to people that already told them years ago that these groups were funded by the Saudis or Obama, our own government. And they're acting like they don't have that information anymore or can't see those programs continuing under the current selection. This is idiocracy. You are living in that movie. But which character are you in the idiocracy movie? Whoever you are, whatever year you may be listening to this, in the future. Because there will be people listening to my podcast in the future. Because they need to know what happened here on earth. They will know what happened here on earth. They will know how people lived on earth that try to warn their fellow brother and sister, with maybe just pockets of support where they could just barely make ends meet, to where at the end of the month they're eating nothing but potatoes and onions. And that's my diet for the next week. And it's like, this way of life requires courage and sacrifice of things other people would not live without. But I'm going to keep going. What money comes in with YouTube being less than $250 a month, now plummeting back down to $200. I'm not complaining. I'm just letting you know. This is still important and valuable to me to do full time. Which is why I encourage you to sign up for Patreon, because I've added additional podcasts. And if you make a request for me to talk about something, especially things that are on the controversial side of things, and you know what that means. You know exactly what controversial means. You also realize YouTube's cracking down. And just to let you know, even talking about relationships is controversial. All those MGTOW videos that I did are demonetized. Okay, slap yourself awake from the shock. These so-called conservatives, they're acting like victims, saying that it's the libtards going after their content alone, are lying to you. They went after my content. Okay? People that are addicted to watching my channel that still think I'm a libtard because I suffer from cognitive failure, they don't seem to realize that those off-grid videos that were demonetized, showing what happened in Costilla County, some of them, that showed the police pushing people down the street. Was there something wrong with me covering that? I know the people in Costilla County thought there was something wrong with me covering that, but what about the rest of the people? Should that video have been demonetized? What about the videos about relationships and how people use each other in today's day and age? Why was that demonetized? If I'm encouraging people using greater discretion with who they get into the bedroom with, why is that controversial? I'm speaking outside the box of religion, and I'm saying keep your little head in check, men. And maybe women, think about, and I'm speaking in general, not to the ones listening here, but I don't know you. Why are there so many with abusive ones throughout time and history, while nice guys finish farther last than last year. What is it about our biology and actual sexual code? What attracts us? What repels us on a primal sexual sense? Not what you like to listen to on YouTube. Not what kind of books you like to read. I mean, when it comes to the Ooga Booga dance. And we actually look at what people are drawn to, right? It's not people that are the most loving. And a lot of men are not drawn to the most loving women either. It's not just about the women I'm talking about. Most men and women are of a low consciousness. Most men and women see me as something that I'm not, and will take what I'm saying, right, and twist it against their gender and racial group, without realizing that I'm looking at all of society. If they want to take it and twist it, that's because they have an agenda to trash the entire message. If not to others, at least for themselves. It would be the lower self, in that case, stepping in saying, stop listening to Alex Ansary. He's over here in this divide and conquer illusions of separation program, when in fact it's the opposite. I'm trying to get you to break outside the box of the illusions of separation. For you to see yourself outside the box. For you to see myself outside of a box. Do you think that's possible? Do you think that's worth it? And so, I do believe that I was born to say things that others are not saying. And during certain periods, it's going to be unpopular. I can upload a video 3 years ago by Elon Musk, or speaking of Elon Musk, and the off-world agenda, or rather 2016, and half the people will thumb it down. And I can do it again, re-upload that video, and most of the people will appreciate it. But one person will pop in and say, yeah, it's because of these guys that I don't think it's safe to go outside. Just so they can be that one person to try to knock someone down from their soapbox. Try to walk right up and kick that soapbox from under them. And see, when you see people do that, and they could be hanging around for years, until that moment to where someone is afraid or feeling anxiety, which is not uncommon for people to just feel and go through that when they live off the grid anyways. Why kick someone when they're down? Have you met some of the people that live full-time off the grid? They're not all there. And I've come to realize that unless you're reading books and you're out and you're getting out and about, if you're just sitting on the internet or just watching videos all day long or being in absolute isolation, I don't feel that I'm in 100% isolation talking to you. Hearing from some of you over at Patreon, for those of you that have joined up, people like Mark, people like Randy, people that have signed up over at the on-demand channel like JoJo and others, Matt Kelly, Brock, others. That makes up for that one person out of 100, or that one person out of 10 that'll try to come up and kick that soapbox to cause someone to fall down and bust their kneecaps so they can laugh. And then when someone starts, ow, wow, that hurt. Then you got 5 more hyenas that'll come up right behind that person and laugh when someone's hurting and laugh when someone's down. And when you're a guy like me, where you've been off grid for a few years, then you get to see the spectrum of polarity of various personalities from, say, a particular individual. Times where they're pretending to be nice, and those that are trying to stomp your head into the ground when they perceive you to be down. And it's like, I have a memory. I'm not like others where I just forget what happened 10 years ago, or forget what happened 5 years ago. I have a photographic memory. And I remember those, right, that have been decent people over the years. And I can count them on less than one hand. And on each hand, as you know, there's 5 fingers. Many of you that are projecting positivity to me now, I think most of you know you just got here in the last few years, right? Last few years. There's a few that'll pop in and say they've been watching since the beginning. Or, at least since 2013, 2012. A lot of people started watching around 2012 and 2013, and they weren't around during the Portland days. So people come, people go. But one thing to be aware of, is it really the host who's changing? Or the content that's changing? Or is it the times that are changing? Look at those people that used to support my work before Barack Obama that didn't when Barack Obama was elected, because I refuse to believe that this was change that I could believe in. Or how about those people that were supportive of my work in 2015 and 16, only to see that I didn't believe that this was change we can believe in to make America great again. But in fact, the same program, to see that they were repelled the same way. To know that to a Republican, I'm a libtard, and to Democrats, I'm a right-wing extremist conspiracy theorist. And to many different ethnic groups, I'm perceived to be their biological enemy. And to some people, I'm Hispanic. To some, I'm a dirty Arab. To some, I'm another white guy who deserved to be sucker punched, walking down the street by a group of black kids. To others, they may wish I was Greek or Italian, instead of knowing the truth. I'll never forget when that girl asked me what my background was. And she called me handsome. And her response changed once she received the answer. It was no longer a smile. There was no longer an interest in getting together. And that moment was traumatic for me. And that was last year. And I wished I never said a thing. And I get to see this demonization of combination of genetics. And then I talk to people about what it's like when that demonization hits the real world, how it feels to be called a liar. That's satanic. So there's reasons why I believe that I'm in a prison. You may be in this prison with me, but this is not a normal planet with normal political human interactions and proceedings. This is a hell dimension. With on the surface level, it looks like things are fine. We have a McDonald's drive-thru over here. We have a mall over here where the people seem to be orderly. Hey, look over here. We have amusement parks. We have slides. But then we look over here. These are the ways they are bringing their children up. These are the types of men that are being picked for procreation. These are the types of women, in some cases, that men are going for instead of raising the bar and demanding more consciousness. How about it's a two-way street to expect more out of each other? Instead of just getting each other drunk and smelling each other's fragrances over a nice dish, and if the chemistry feels good, hey, let's bounce on top of a mattress. What type of an animalistic, soul-free world is it where it's all based on smells and appearances and propaganda and people telling you what's right, what's wrong, which people are okay together, which people together make an abomination? The combination of what made me to some is an abomination, with a thing that should not be. Okay? Can you say you live in a world where people say that you're an abomination? Why are you angered? Am I on your page? And I'm only talking to a few people. Am I on your YouTube? No one's asked you to be here. You can leave at any time. No one's insulting you. No one's kicking at your ego as a man. When another man shares his story, when another man shares about his life, he's being a man and he's saying things without being anonymous that other men wouldn't say. That requires courage to share what you've survived. It's Orwellian and archonic to invert it and try to take that away from someone. One of the few people of their line that's in your independent media. What motivates such evil? I know what motivates me. And I know that I keep going through this cycle where I'm consistently speaking about us going beyond the illusions of separation. And I'm watching the world shift rapidly. And I'm watching people shift rapidly. And the revolving door frequency goes up and up. Those viewers coming in. Those viewers that are leaving. Those viewers that remain. Those that seem to have a consistent personality or demeanor. Those that are anything but. That also hear voices. The whole gamut is here in the comment section. in my interactions with people. The intentions have literally been written on the wall to something as literal as having audience members that have businesses that would actually hire me to work at their restaurant, even as a dishwasher. If I knew how to pump septics in certain situations, hell, I'd be willing to do that for money. Because it's sure easier doing that stuff than seeing YouTube deliver me $200 per month to not beg, but ask you politely to join up on Patreon. So you can be part of the very few, the 15 Patreons that are there. And have access to exclusive podcasts or join the several dozen at VHX, outsidethebox.vhx.tv. And that is supporting independent media platforms outside of the Google monopoly. When you show someone is worth the cost of a cup of coffee per month or 2 cups of coffee per month, it means more than what you might think. You know, someone could be going through life with $2,000 per month in expenses when someone just needs $400 or $500 a month to get by. When you're a part of that contribution process, that means a lot to me. There are some people that think, well, $5 isn't very much. It's just $5, so I won't even donate it. That's the last thing you want to be thinking. It's $5.95 to join outsidethebox.vhx.tv. In some cases, that won't cover a Happy Meal price, where some people go out and eat every day. So some people have always had the means to support my work and have always listened to every video and have never had an interest in joining those additional sites. I'm not yelling or upset or begging. I'm saying, I'm going to remind you how much that means to me when you do have the support or the means to support, and you do. It also, of course, means a lot, and has always stood out that those that assist the most seem to be the most, live the most humbly. They're not rich. Most of the people that support are not rich or wealthy. They do it because they care. Then there are some, and it's not often when it happens, but it does happen, that will donate all at once a certain sum because they had an agenda. Whether it be encouraging adultery or something else, someone wanting to have an affair, and use money as an encouragement tool to commit basically an act that would create very negative karma consequences, at the very least for myself, by doing that to another man's wife. That's incredibly dark karma for anyone that didn't know that. To be laying down with someone who's connected with someone else. That's why honesty is part of sexual morality. Not everyone believes in sexual morality, but I do believe that I may have faced consequences from this reality by past sins. And so sometimes offers of gifts, money, other favors, tips, associations are not there from a friendly source. That person might be hijacked and acting on autopilot. Then you could run some tests to see if this is really someone of loving compassion, as you discuss your life story, as you discuss how I came to be someone with these ideas. And when you cross the threshold from just discussing the empowerment ideas or the Gnostic ideas or defeating the Archon ideas, and they start hearing the actual story behind the ideas, that's when I lose large amounts of support from the audience. And it seems that momentum moving forward is interrupted. Am I supposed to feel guilty? Am I supposed to feel that I didn't do a good enough job? No. I'm doing exactly what I've been doing. I'm going deeper into the story. And now I'm writing a book about my life. And every day, there's been weird comments that have showed up since I began to write my book. And it's like in real time, it's like being observed in this matrix. It's as if, the archonic predators are picking up on our energy frequency signature like colors from the sky. They could see someone activating, and all of a sudden outside, there's some interference of some type. Like all of a sudden, the revving up of a vehicle has returned outside as I'm literally journaling in like a jam session, my first major jam session of writing in months. And it's like I can stop writing and turn my attention to this vehicle that's now outside the driveway that's revving and revving and revving. Or I can continue to be where I'm at, not feed into that. Or those that stalk this YouTube channel that laugh about me reporting things like this. These are not funny things. To be revving a vehicle outside someone's property acting like you're going to do something to them. That's fucked up, folks. And that's life here. In a world without allies off the grid. Or anyone within proximity. That's fucked up. And no one's ever going to silence me from telling you what I'm surviving and being courageous against. Most men would never live without a gun in off-grid America. I do. Don't call me a coward. So that's the possession for people to want to take away from what someone created and then false flag them. Oh, you're trying to do this. Oh, you're trying to do that. Oh, you cried. I'm going to put that on YouTube. To manipulate, to harm, to try to create a situation to where in their mind they're thinking with that devil in their ear, oh, that Alex Ansary guy might be suicidal. You might want to try to push that guy over the edge and see what happens. Yeah. And see, that brings out the real true self. When you see how people respond to where you bare your chest and you show your heart, not to mention the origins of your DNA. Then you find out if there's love, acceptance for who you are as a soul, or whether your soul will be tested by the fire. Segueing, how is your soul being tested by the fire? How is your mind being tempted? Do you know, and I'll come back in another video and elaborate, why the topic of psychic self-defense is necessary if you're listening to YouTube videos, if you're on the spiritual path. Do you know that you could be turned to the dark side if you haven't been already? If you're involved in the alternative media, either as a content creator or as a consumer. Do you know that internet addiction can lead to full-on possessions of human beings that can be fed a program and even dreams about political figures saving the world? Did you know that? Did you know that certain quote-unquote prophetic dreams that allegedly come from Yahweh could in fact come from the archonic realms? To keep you into a spell, confused, addicted to the internet, addicted to comment sections, hating on the wrong people, and loving the people that you should question. Have you ever questioned if your thoughts are your own, and if you're listening to my channel for the right reasons? I have so many thoughts, and I can talk, it seems, for a eternity. But maybe that's exactly what the soul has been doing. Until next time, I'm going to pause. I'm Alex Ansary reminding you, the path to the ultimate truth and place of power still lies within. Happy Saturday.